Am I the a-hole stories? Am I the a-hole for taking my older brother to a restaurant instead of taking him to the wedding? I, male 21, have an older brother, Adam 27, and he's a wheelchair-bound due to a motorcycle accident that caused him spinal cord injury. He was living with his ex-fiancée, but my parents took him after she said she couldn't do it anymore. I come to take care of him every day. Started learning to be Adam's carer since mom and dad were becoming overwhelmed. I still go out/study while being there for Adam. It's been almost 3 years. Last week, my parents got a wedding invitation from Adam's ex-fiancée's parents. Her family and my family are close. Known them for 15 years. My parents told Adam they wanted him to come with them to celebrate/support the family. No matter what happens, the two families will be close. Adam said no. Dad lashed out saying he needed to stop being selfish and potentially ruining a 15-year friendship between two families by being bitter. I got involved after Dad said Adam had no choice but to go. I asked him to respect Adam's opinion, but Dad called me an enabler, and that they get to veto his opinion since they do so much for him. I left and stayed gone for 2 days. Adam said they were pressuring him and he couldn't take it anymore. The day of the wedding I went to my parents' house. Told them I wanted to go with Adam to the wedding and drive him there myself. They said okay. Told me to follow them and rushed out. Instead of following them, I drove Adam to a restaurant out of town. 2 hours away. We had a great time there. His frown turned into a joyful smile. Seeing him like this made me feel relieved. Once I turned my phone on, my dad specifically was livid. Calling me a manipulative liar. Asking why I didn't follow them with Adam to the wedding. Talked about how embarrassed he was repeatedly telling people, "My sons are gonna be here soon." He yelled that I just damaged a 15-year friendship with the ex's family. I argued with him about how he ignored Adam's wishes, and that being disabled doesn't mean he has no independence and opinions anymore. He told me to shut the hell up with this bullcrap and be grateful he didn't call the police for what I did, and demanded I bring Adam home. I dropped Adam off and left. Other family members berated me saying I'm not a kid and should be held responsible for my recklessness and ruining the relationship between the two families. To clarify, Adam's ex claimed they couldn't stay together, not because of him being in a wheelchair but something else. Adam said she was treating him poorly. My parents' relationship with Adam's ex is mainly based on doing each other favors, and act like they respect each other. But I know that they're just looking for benefits and what they can get from each other. Note: I'm currently renting an apartment with a number of roommates. I can barely afford rent and that's why I can take Adam to live with me, but I will be doing my best to get my own place and take him in with me. Unfortunately, it's not possible right now. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Why on earth would your parents want Adam to watch the women he was going to marry someone else? That's just cruel. Screw the 15-year friendship, my son and his mental well-being would be way more important to me. Your parents are definitely the a-holes here, and I am so sorry Adam has to live with them and put up with their BS. Oh, I know this one. Because he's not a real person anymore, he's a prop. They just needed him to let them wheel him around so they could get their props for doing so much for him, and let everyone coo over how sad it is that he'll never find anyone to love him, but points he still got to see the bride in her pretty dress and dream, if only for a day. They do so much, meanwhile their other child is coming over every day to care for him. OP and his brother should get their own place together. Not the a-hole. Also, veto his opinion? That's just wrong on so many levels. Yeah. It's like they're treating Adam as if he owes them or something. That's not how parents should be treating their children, especially those who are struggling with an illness/disability. Unfortunately, it's very common for some parents to maintain a good image at the expense of their children's well-being. Not the a-hole. Frankly, I think you and Adam need to figure out a plan so he's not dependent on people who think that taking care of him means he doesn't get to have opinions or feelings on things ever. Or who think your family has more work to do in maintaining this relationship than the people who seem to think Adam should just be over having been ditched like a burden. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for insisting it's my sister's own fault she got dropped from her university classes, and telling my family I refuse to feel sorry for her? Her classes are all remote, through Zoom, don't even need a webcam on, just log on to the class so the teacher sees your name there and checks it off. But I guess that was too much for her, and she would rather sleep all day instead. She's missed the past 2 weeks straight, and the university policy is if you miss 2 weeks of classes, you get dropped. I know, I go there too. So of course, yesterday when she tried to log on, She found she was dropped from everything. She was distraught because she thought she was going to get in trouble with mom and dad. Honestly, I was worried they would kick her out with how they'd been talking when I started going a few years ago. If you drop out, you gotta find a new place to live and all that. While I don't feel bad for her getting dropped from the classes, I wouldn't want her to be homeless. Instead of being upset, mom and dad just tried to comfort her, telling her lies about how it's not her fault, the school was too harsh. I was planning on keeping my feelings to myself, but mom kept bugging me asking for me to try and help make her feel better. After the 7th or 8th time that night, I snapped and said my piece, saying how she knew the school's rules, we all were well aware of them, but she'd rather sleep all day than go to class for the past 2 weeks. So no, I refused to feel sorry for her, that her own actions caught up with her. You said if I ever did anything like this I'd be kicked out. But now you're just coddling her. Mom said the pandemic has been hard on us all, and that it should be understandable if people don't have the energy to go to class. I said I would agree, but sis has somehow found the energy to go to very unsafe house parties each and every weekend since the pandemic started, including the 2 she skipped class, putting everyone in the house at greater risk. But somehow, she doesn't have the energy for school? Mom and sis aren't talking to me right now, dad is torn on who to side with. Edit, yes, mom and dad know my sister parties. Mom is afraid her missing out on a year or 2 of dating and socializing will lead to her being single forever. I am engaged already, before you ask. Edit 2, just to reiterate, I didn't say anything until mom pushed and pushed and pushed me too. Also, far as I've been told, I'm the only one in the family diagnosed with depression. Not the a-hole, I'm big on accountability. Your sister can't take accountability for something that is clearly her and her fault alone, and your parents aren't doing her any favors by placing blame elsewhere. This will repeat itself in other areas for years to come. Turning on a computer is so much easier than getting yourself up and heading onto campus. It takes close to zero effort to do. Your parents giving her a pass and handing her an excuse for her behavior is enabling her, and it will burn them in the end. Should they kick her out? No. But consequences are important. For instance, my sister screwed up one semester and my parents were paying for school. They made her pay the next semester and they would pay her back if she passed. It worked. Hopefully whomever paid for school can still get reimbursed for this semester. The parents should also be giving consequences for her partying behavior, which puts them all at risk for that pesky virus. Do I smell the stench of golden child here, or am I just imagining it? At least a bit of hypocrisy from parents' side. OP, you did nothing wrong here. Your parents are showing clear favoritism towards your sister here, hence the pandemic has been hard on us all, and that it should be understandable if people don't have the energy to go to class excuse she gave to you. Yes, the pandemic has been hard on us all. But that doesn't excuse your sister still partying during a bloody pandemic, and skipping school, thus putting you all in risk of getting the virus. Pretty selfish behavior, actually. Therefore, you're not the a-hole, OP. For the most part they didn't play favorites. I think mom does see herself more in my younger sister though than she does me. Not exactly an overly girly girl. Not the a-hole. For most of the post I was worried she might be having mental health issues, but then you said she's been partying and she lost my sympathy. I'm not saying it couldn't be a mental health issue, but it seems like she's just a selfish person who didn't want to go to school. She does not deserve your sympathy, especially since her social life is putting your whole family at risk. Edit, I didn't mean to offend anyone. After thinking about it further, I think OP needs to talk to their parents about getting their sister some help. As someone who has suffered from depression and anxiety my whole life, I did not mean to trivialize mental health issues. A similar thing happened to me in college, and I wasn't even thinking about that. If she is anything like I was at that age, it's good if she's not in school for a while. She most likely needs to see a therapist and/or doctor and look into if she needs medication. The fact that she wasn't bothering to log in at all is definitely a bad sign that it's more than pure laziness. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister the real reason I would not lend her clothes? I, 15 female, have a younger sister Eve, 14 female. We are not remotely close and get into fights quite often. The topic of a number of these fights? Taking my clothes and belongings without permission. We go to an independent high school with a strict dress code, collared shirts, knee-length skirts, dress pants. Before we started school, Eve got a ton of clothes that fit her style and that she looks great in. But on the second week of classes, Eve borrowed a pencil skirt without my permission and I yelled at her. She asked me what the big deal was, and I said it was the principle of stealing. This is not entirely true, even though Eve and I are close in age, we have very different body types. I play sports and have a more hourglass figure, 115-ish, Eve however carry more weight around her stomach, 165, and is taller than me, she is just overall larger. Well, this morning she took a dress for me without permission that was too small. The zipper on the back broke halfway through the day and I am annoyed. This was my 8th grade graduation dress and I told her not to wear my clothes. So, I went off on her about stealing, and during the argument I pointed at the zipper and said this is why I didn't want you wearing my things. I didn't mean to say this as I know Eve's weight is a point of contention, but I just had a lot of anger and it slipped out. After this remark, Eve started yelling at me asking if her weight is the reason I only lend her certain items. I didn't answer at first, but she pestered me for an hour till I snapped, saying they were my clothes and I should have to be okay with them being stretched out. Eve now won't talk to me, and her friends are DMing me say I am the a-hole. So Reddit, does me not lying to my sister make me a bad person? Edit, for everyone asking about parents, I have a single father who in the first place does not understand why you need more than 5 shirts. He is not really great at the whole argument thing and just said that if we argue over something, he will take it away. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. You asked her not to borrow the clothes and told a white lie about the reason as not to bring up her weight. She borrowed them anyway and pushed the issue until you told her the true, albeit hurtful, reason. Not the a-hole. She ruins your clothes, she should pay for new ones. Babysit or whatever to get the money. You break it, you pay for it. You two are different sizes and she knows it ruins your clothes. Where are your parents in this? Sharing things you can share without them being ruined is one thing, but this is plain mean and then telling her friends a sob story. Send those friends pictures of what the dress looked like after she tried it on. Not the a-hole. She is being selfish and entitled. You need to set some strict boundaries with her. Getting her friends to send you messages screams manipulative too. Agreed. And while weight is the issue, it's also not. Clothes are designed to fit a certain size, not weight, size. OP's sister isn't that size. That's facts. Not the a-hole. You told her multiple times to stop stealing your clothes, and when she wanted a reason why, she pressured you into saying the truth. There's not really any nicer way to phrase that as well. Just because your family doesn't mean she can overstep and steal your things. Now for the last story. Would I be the a-hole if I don't do a stupid errand for my sister? My 19 female sister, 28 female, is in jail. When she was sentenced, she wore a suit with a very expensive, costing several hundreds, pair of shoes. When she arrived there and was issued with her prison clothes, her shoes were confiscated because they were stilettos and could be used as weapons. The shoes were stored in a property box. Understandably, those shoes are valuable, so my sister doesn't want them shoved into a prison storage. She called me and asked me to visit her, and said I could sign some forms to collect the shoes. She's already asked my parents to do this, and they said no. I completely agree with them and think it's silly. But it's not just that. My sister said she also wants me to bring the shoes back when she's nearing release, so she can put them back on when she leaves that place. I'm sorry, but this is ridiculous. If she doesn't want to risk her nice shoes in a prison storage box, then she doesn't get to pick and choose when they are in there. I don't have a car and the prison is a long way away and inconvenient for public transport. My sister committed crimes she didn't need to commit, destroyed her own career, and is hardly acting like a model prisoner. She was caught with a contraband smartphone and punished for it. I'm not going to go out of my way for someone who isn't even making an effort to sort her life out. Despite all that, she still wants me to act like her maid and look after her things. When I said no, she got upset with me, said that those shoes were a valuable item and that she would never forgive me if they were damaged or stolen. I said that she should have thought of that before she wore them to court, and when I said that, she started crying, called me an a-hole and hung up. I do feel bad about making her cry. I can't imagine what it's like for her in that place or how scared she is. But on the other hand, I don't see why I have to make such an effort to get the shoes, and then bring them back when it's convenient for her. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. She should have brought backup shoes in case she was convicted. This shows she never thought conviction could happen to her, and her entitled type of mind. Tell her you have no means of transportation and that she should ask her attorney to sort it out. Not the a-hole. I have to hear the whole story of why she got arrested. If you don't want to, that's cool. I figure there's no harm in asking. Financial crime. Stilettos to court? Your sister is an idiot. Not the a-hole. I know, right? A juror probably voted guilty just by seeing her shoes, and probably snotty attitude. OP is not the a-hole, and if I was there, I would tell you every day, don't let her get to you, you did nothing wrong. She's lashing out to make you look like a bad guy to make herself feel better about being stuck there. And that's it for this video, guys. If you have thoughts to share, leave a comment below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you like this content. I'll catch you in the next one. Good day, everyone.